Imagine the following. A sweet 9-year-old orphan who has been living at an orphanage his entire life, waiting earnestly year after year for someone to adopt him, finally hears word that his biological parents decided to take him back. They decided to take him in again and raise him. He waits the day when he will go to their house to meet him. The day finally arrives and he takes a bath, dons his finest clothing, and walks up to the door. Before he even knocks, smoke begins billowing from underneath the door, lightning begins bolting out of the windows, the door viciously opens, and his father is standing there in a dark robe looking down at him. The first utterance he says in a deep, dark, scary voice is, "I am your father, who brought you into this world. You will not be able to open the fridge by yourself to take food. You will be served and must eat what is served. Your bedtime will be tightly enforced, punishable by death. You must honor me, and you must do as I say." Imagine such a greeting. The little boy would be scared out of his wits. He would run away as fast as his feet could carry him. It is not exactly the hello he was expecting. Well, it would seem that Hashem greeted us that very same way. Why was Hashem's icebreaker with the Jewish people a scary meeting atop a mountain with fire and thunder and lightning? Why can't we have a more pleasant welcome to his home? Why not a nice cup of coffee near a calm brook on a sunny day with the birds pleasantly chirping in the background? And when Hashem finally does speak, what he says seems puzzling. He starts off by famously declaring, "Anochi Hashem Elokecha," I am your God, meaning to say, we should believe in him. The question is that if we do in fact believe in God, then we don't need a commandment to believe in him. And if we don't believe in God, then what good is his commandment to believe in him? What is a commandment if we don't believe in the commander of the commandment? Rabbi Chanan Wasserman, the author of the Sefer Kovetz Ha'aros, writes in the back of his Sefer a truly fascinating understanding of all this. He begins by asking the following question. How is it expected of a 12-year-old bas mitzvah girl and a 13-year-old bar mitzvah boy to attain a belief that philosophers and astrologers have debated for millennia? How is a teenager expected to come to the intellectual conclusion that there is a God when minds such as Aristotle, who the Rambam called 1 degree lower than a prophet, couldn't come to that conclusion? How is it expected of a simple child to climb philosophical mountains when men far smarter than he couldn't climb them? Rabbi Chanan explained that belief in Hashem requires no degree in theology. Belief in God requires zero philosophical mountain climbing. Merely looking out into the dazzling world should direct one to Hashem. Merely seeing the miracles of nature should lead one to the unequivocal conclusion that this world has a creator. Merely seeing the wonders of the planet should propel one to sing the praises of God. To think that it could all come about randomly, to think it could all be happen chance, says Rabbi Chanan, is preposterous. According to Professor Robert Shapiro, the mathematical probability of the world coming into existence by evolving from spontaneous generation is 1 over 10, 1 to the power of 1.25 trillion. In simple terms, that is the same probability as rolling a double six with dice 100 trillion times in a row. So the question now becomes reversed. How could gigantic philosophers, some of the smartest men to ever walk this planet, possibly think this world is random? How could they possibly take such a stance when there are oceans and mountains of reason to think otherwise? Rabbi Chanan explains based on the following. There is halacha that states that a presiding judge is not allowed to accept a bribe, even of the smallest amount, for we are afraid the bribe will sway his reasoning and he will judge inaccurately. This means that if even Moshe Rabbeinu, whom we know to be indisputably righteous and fair, would take even a penny as a bribe from a defendant in his courtroom, he would be disqualified from judging. The Torah is laying down an ironclad rule in human psychology. We are all swayed by money. We are swayed by material pursuits. The desire to live in materialistic comfort will blur the reasoning of even the greatest minds. No mind is too great. No degree of materialism is too insignificant. It is fundamental human nature. Recognizing a God in this world, continues Rabbi Chanan, would bring along with it much responsibility. It would require humbling oneself to the will of the Creator. It would potentially bring with it laws that would prevent the pursuit of materialistic bliss. Hence, minds were swayed. Great minds were bought with a penny. The overwhelming evidence the world offers in support of Hashem's existence was not accepted by men who viewed that reality as a hindrance to the conveniences of their lifestyle. The extreme desire to do whatever one wants in life will literally blind even the greatest philosophers from seeing what any 13-year-old boy should see with ease. A non-Jewish philosopher once approached Rabbi Yosef Steif, the Tu'umim, and asked him the following. He said, if your Torah says that you should always follow the majority, why do you believe in your God when the majority of the world thinks otherwise? The Tu'umim responded, the Torah commands us to go with the majority only if both opinions are viable. Lack of belief in God is an opinion so outlandish and so bizarre, it doesn't even make it to the debate floor. Continues Rabbi Chanan, when Hashem commands us in the first of the Aseret HaDibros to believe in Him, the commandment is not to venture out on a philosophical exploration in search of God. It is a commandment to remove those things in life that prevent us from seeing the obvious. It is a commandment to make room in our hearts for spirituality to live, to prevent the gross physicality of the world from blinding us of what is laughably evident, to live a life pursuing holiness instead of one chasing the mundane. When Hashem spoke to us from atop Har Sinai, this was not his icebreaker. This wasn't his first greeting. Hashem has been saying hello to us every time the sun comes up in the morning. We have known Hashem ever since we saw an oak tree come out of an acorn. We saw Hashem in every raindrop and every earthworm. We didn't need any icebreakers. Har Sinai was not introducing us to Hashem. It was introducing us to His Torah. It was introducing us to our safeguard. It was introducing us to our mission, to our life's work, to our goals in life. That had to come with seriousness. That had to be done with awe. The Torah must be respected with every fiber of our being. The most significant book to ever grace our earth cannot be handed over while sipping coffee. We once had a fruit fly problem in our house. After numerous attempts to remove them, I went to a hardware store and asked for a trap. The man behind the counter gave me a trap, which was a small bowl with a clear cover on top of it with little holes in the cover. I was to fill the bowl with fruit juice and place the cover on top. I assure you, the man said, the fruit flies will fly right in, no problem. I asked him, well, the same way the fruit flies can fly right in through the holes, why can't they fly right out through the holes? He said, good question, no. You see, fruit flies have bad vision. When following the smell of fruit juice, they are blindly led directly through the holes to what they're looking for. But once they're satisfied, they look up and they can't find the hole to get out. I thought to myself how we are often the very same way. We allow the smell of earthly physical pursuits to lead us along the path in life, often blinding us from seeing the truth. We know that Avram rode to the Akedah on a donkey. The Medrash says that Moshe rode from Midian to Egypt to save the Jews on that very same donkey. And we are told that Mashiach will one day arrive on that same donkey. Now, in our contemporary world, Mashiach arriving on a donkey seems a little outdated. We would have anticipated such a significant arrival to be heralded in the latest model car, or a limousine with an entourage of black Cadillacs preceding it. Why is Mashiach going to show up riding on a donkey? I once heard the following enlightening answer from Rabbi Chaim Mintz, the Mashgiach in the Yeshiva of Staten Island. He said, the Hebrew word for donkey is chamar. Chamar is a derivative of the word chumrius, which means materialism. The donkey, more than any other animal, symbolizes brute physicality. It excels at lifting and carrying heavy burdens to and fro. Mashiach's arrival atop a donkey is signifying that we only got to that point by remaining on top of materialism. We lived life mind over matter. We were able to lift ourselves above the never-ending quest for heightened physical pleasure. We were able to carve out room in our hearts for Hashem to exist. That, says Rabbi Mintz, is what will lead us to Mashiach. Hashem is truly all around us. We just need to open up our hearts to see Him, and once we do, His presence becomes remarkably obvious.